I hope you do some Halloween.
I love Mr. Nightmare videos.
It's all copyrighted.
For the month of October in 2016, I worked at Party City as a seasonal job. It was pretty hectic for the Halloween season, obviously. I got stuck with the night shifts on weekdays since I didn't have early classes. The location I worked at changed its closing hours on weeknights to 11 p.m. during the Halloween season. My shift would start usually at 5 and I'd work till close. The rush would die after 9, and after 10 there would hardly be anyone left in the store, especially on weekdays. On my shift on the day in question, I started work at what was referred to as a costume grabber. I would be told on walkie-talkie what costume and what size to grab so that I could hand it to the customer and they could try it on. After it quieted down, and later on in my shift, I was told to start cleaning up the aisles, restocking, and bringing stuff either up from or down to the basement. That got tiring quickly because it was a lot of walking up and downstairs. Past 10, there were only about 4 of us still working. A girl named Maria working the cash register, Kyle cleaning aisles and stocking shelves, Ashley the supervisor for the night, and then me doing the back and forth basement work. The basement was at least connected straight to the upstairs costume storage room, so it wasn't a super long walk from the basement. I took a 10-minute breather, then went to continue lugging boxes from the basement up to the costume storage room. The lights of the basement had been turned off by someone. I figured Ashley. I flipped the light switch back on, and down into the basement I went. As I was lifting a box of girls' costumes, I heard something fall on the other side of the basement. Not to make you think this basement was really big, it was just one big circle full of boxes with a big shelf in the middle. I put down the box I was holding, and slowly peered my head around the shelf. There was someone in a white hooded robe costume with a scary monster mask.
You got it.
Of course I jumped back at first, then I laughed, saying, "You got me." Whichever of my coworkers was in the costume didn't speak though. They just tilted their head to the side a bit, as if they were still messing with me. I had a feeling it was Ashley at first, even though she would supervise some nights. She was a clown. But then I realized this person was way too tall to be Ashley, so it had to be Kyle. I tried approaching him to remove the mask. He just backed away from me though. Then I looked down at the boots on his shoes. The dirty, heavy work boots that I knew for a fact Kyle wasn't wearing. I started getting shivers. I went back up the stairs without running to avoid suspicion. I shut the basement door and went straight to Ashley, who was talking to Maria by the register. I asked, "Where's Kyle?" And he literally called "What's up" from a nearby aisle. That's when panic set in. I asked if there was anyone else working that night. She said everyone went home. So I told her someone was in the basement in a costume who didn't belong there. Kyle and Ashley came with me to the basement so I could prove it to them. Like any cliche horror scenario, whoever was down there was gone. There was a back exit in the upstairs costume room for unloading truck shipments. It was possible the intruder exited through there. Ashley sped through the security footage of the past hour and didn't see anyone enter the costume room except for me. But there wasn't a camera in the basement or the actual costume room itself to check that. Part of me felt like it was a prank, and that if I went back down there, I'd find the person in the costume again. But my job was my job, and I had to get back down there to continue stocking the costume room.
I wouldn't go back down there.
When I got back down there, I once again picked up the box of girl costumes I originally was trying to bring up, got it to the stairs, and stopped because I thought I may have heard the noise of a small plastic bag being slightly crumpled. Of course, I didn't want to stay down there to find out alone. I wasn't getting paid enough. My shift was almost over, so I lugged the heavy box up the stairs, dropped it in the costume room, and went back to the doorway of the basement to shut off the light. Before I did, I looked down the staircase, and at the bottom was that person in the white robe costume again. Only this time minus the mask. I saw his face, his smiling face looking up at me. I slammed the door shut and ran out to Ashley and the rest, screaming for help. They came as fast as they could to the costume room. The back exit door inside was wide open, as was the basement door. This time, for real, he was gone. The one camera on the outside delivery area didn't even catch him. I don't really know if that intruder managed to steal anything other than the costume he was wearing. For all I know, it could have been just one big Halloween prank.
No.
Or he might have been in there looking to actually hurt someone.
Got me all the way clucked up. Halloween
For all I
prank
knew,
my
it was
ass.
an armed robber, though. I treated the situation as though my life were in danger.
Oh my god. I would have done my shit now. It's like I've been doing that with him.
My favorite month has always been October. It's
Really?
that sweet spot temperature-wise. It's never too hot and never too
The
cold.
temperature, yeah.
All the leaves start turning orange and brown, and you just get that nice, refreshing October breeze. My friends and I always used to like to rake up the leaves into a big pile and have wrestling matches in them when we were young, like from the ages of 9 to 12. I think when we were about 10 or 11, it was towards the end of October, and a lot of the leaves had already fallen off the trees. Since my property was the biggest, my friends Liam and Billy were helping me rake up the leaves on my property into a giant pile.
Thanks, Liam. And Billy.
It was a cloudy, windy day, getting a little late. The house we lived in at the time was a corner house with a huge space on the side next to the sidewalk, which ran into a short dead-end street with only 2 houses in it, one of which owned by an old stoner couple who didn't care about anything, and across the street from that was a small, disheveled house, whose owner never seemed to come outside. So this allowed us to be louder and more obnoxious without worry of a lot of neighbors watching or caring.
Yeah.
We wrestled around for probably half an hour. Then we went inside after getting tired to have a snack and play video games. The 2 of them wanted to go back outside for a nighttime triple threat match in the leaves again. That's what we called our wrestling matches. We always acted like we were in the WWE. When we got back out there, it was almost completely dark, and a street light that stood in the dead end lit up this side of our property so we could see enough. It seemed as though there were a lot less leaves in the pile right off the bat this time.
What do you mean?
We tried wrestling a little more, but the pile just spread too far. So we had to grab the rakes and start building the pile again. Liam noticed a long, oddly shaped pile that we didn't notice from before. He went over to start raking it over to our main pile, but he seemed to be having trouble.
Oh my god.
He shouted, "There's something under the leaves."
Oh, hell
We
no.
came over to
What's
help him
under,
brush some of the
Billy?
leaves
No,
off whatever
leave.
was underneath.
Leave it.
And all of us screamed when we realized there was a grown man hiding underneath the pile.
Oh my god.
We stepped back and looked at each other, and then back at him.
What?
That's not
Whoa,
weird
hit
at
him in the
all.
head.
We didn't know whether
Hit
to
him in the head
laugh or
for
not.
rape.
Is he dead?
Was he playing some kind of early Halloween prank on us?
That shit not funny.
The man's face was not yet exposed. Liam and I dared Billy to go expose the man's face.
Billy, that's all you.
He walked up to the body on the floor slowly, looked back at us, and started lightly kicking the leaves away from where the person's face would be.
He dead.
As
Why?
he kicked, he realized the body was hollow and hard. There was no face or head.
What?
It was a fake body that someone planted there, some kind of prank.
No,
Who
look behind
placed
you.
it there?
The freaking
Behind
stoners.
you.
The question was quickly answered
over there.
when we noticed someone hiding in my bush right behind the
Who
pile.
the frick is that?
We yelled, "We see you," to the man hiding in the
Bro,
bushes.
get the rake and like
And
knock
he came
it
out
out.
laughing, exclaiming how he got us so good.
Bro, back up.
But this man was older.
Ha, funny.
He looked 60, and he looked scary and gross.
Yeah, what's he doing playing
Huge,
little
bulging
kid?
eyes, crooked teeth, and he was breathing very heavily.
60 years old.
He said he planted that fake body there because he always watches us playing the leaves and thought it would be
Oh,
funny.
God, I
He
really
always
don't
watches.
know.
That freaked me out
Oh,
though.
please.
How he said he always watches us playing the leaves.
Why?
Liam tried being nice, but I thought the man was weird.
Yeah, bro.
So I said, "Come on guys, let's go inside." And we left the man there.
Somebody do it.
I told my dad, and he went outside to check. But the man had already moved the fake body by then.
Wow.
We played video games the rest of the night, all having agreed that guy was a freak. My friends eventually left, and soon after I went to my
Oh,
room.
no. Please
frick
don't tell
is
me
I
this?
had my window open as usual to get a breeze into my
Oh,
room.
shit.
Oh my God.
You're screwed.
I was watching TV when I heard a man's voice at my window.
Oh, this guy's gonna try
I
to
jumped and
kidnap
looked up at the
freaking
window.
kid.
I
No,
couldn't see who it
No.
was.
run.
The voice said, "I didn't mean to creep you out earlier.
Oh, shut your dumb
I
ass
live
up.
in the house across the street over there.
No, you're
I like
creepy.
watching you kids playing the leaves." I was in
How
shock,
is that
hearing a
not
stranger's
weird?
voice
How is it
outside
not
my
weird
window.
hearing from an older man, man?
Continued looking at
How is
me,
it not weird?
and eventually the familiar face of that freako from earlier came into view.
Get away from me, bro.
He reached his arm under my window
Bro,
and pushed it up
slam the
further as
window
he
down.
attempted to climb into my window.
Oh my God.
When he realized he couldn't fit, it seemed he started to try to reach for me.
No.
I screamed for my dad and ran upstairs to his room. I tugged him out of his bed and led him to my
Let me
window.
guess. he's in there, or he's
The
gone.
man was already gone, and I told him he lived in the house across the street in a dead end. My dad charged over to the house with me, banged on the door, but the man didn't answer.
Of course he didn't.
Well, he
My
actually
dad
lived
called the
there?
cops.
Call the cops,
When
yeah.
they came, he took me back to the house with the police. And this time with the police, the man opened the front door, and it was in fact the same man.
Oh,
I was too young to be able to tell.
so what?
The police and my dad picked up on it right away that he was on something. Likely crystal meth is what my dad says.
That's on that red ice.
I remember looking into the house from the doorway and seeing that it was an absolute pigsty.
Ew.
Dang.
Thinking back now, it would fit the
What a
description for the home of a meth head perfectly.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean.
All those
probably
years
the-
living there, we were none the wiser that there was a creepy meth head living in that
I
disheveled
mean,
house.
yeah, really.
Apparently watching my friends and I as we would play.
Oh
That
my
is
God.
crazy.
Meth heads are the
I
worst.
love watching
I'm telling
you
you.
play
Our wives
please.
just keep
Stop playing.
I play
Meth heads are freaking worst.
Hope they
It's
have
past October. I was talking to this girl I met at a party a month prior. For the purpose of this story, she was named Nikki. We had been talking and hanging out like once a week for a few weeks. She wanted to do a bunch of October activities, so I came up with the idea that we go apple picking. She loved it.
What's that?
So we hopped in the car to take a trip to the nearest apple picking orchard, which was about a half-hour drive away, out of the suburbs to the more rural part of the area. We live in Jersey, so there's an abundance of places to go, but I let her pick where. It said we were still about 20 minutes away, and we were driving down a scenic road with little to no traffic. We actually passed what appeared to be another apple orchard, so we turned down this dirt road up to a small wooden farm-like house. There were no cars, no people,
Abandoned?
not even a little stand where people would go to pay to enter.
Wow.
It seemed it wasn't open for business, or
Almighty
maybe it
red
just
flags,
wasn't open
bro.
to the
Like,
public
what
at all.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
probably
come
like so
on.
The house was very poorly kept. It almost looked as though nobody lived there.
So many red
As
flags.
we walked around the property, Nikki said she felt uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Get out
of
We
there.
got back in the car and continued the route to the
Always
originally
trust
planned
your gut.
destination.
There you go.
However,
Something
when
don't
we
feel
got
like-
there, this
feel
one
like
was
it
also
out.
void of people, though this one at least had a closed sign at the stand.
Huh?
I told her, what if we went back to that first orchard that looked almost abandoned and just go picking there?
No.
We'd have the whole place to ourselves.
God damn.
At first she
Or
was
go to the
hesitant,
grocery
but
store.
I convinced her.
you going to somebody else.
So I drove us back and found a low-key place to park on the grass by the woods.
No one's taking care of it, you know?
We walked through the
Roger, some guy
crushing
comes
leaves
over
on the
with a
dirt
shotgun.
path.
Get off my
We
property.
were trying to be discreet, that was out the window. There
Now.
was a little wooden fence we had to hop, but it was easy.
Sus.
Once inside, we were hidden by the symmetrical rows of thick apple trees, but our feet were also covered in tall grass up to our shins. We started walking down the row of trees, filling the plastic bags we brought from my car with the best apples we could find. Though, admittedly, there weren't many.
Gotta save the turtle seal.
There was a certain thrill in doing this, knowing we weren't supposed to.
For
We had some fun with it.
Yeah,
I
till
would
the
start
police
launching
come,
apples
I'll
at
find
her,
it.
and then I would start pretending like I was going to throw apples at Nikki. She started screaming, running off, telling me to stop.
Wow.
Bro,
She
you
cut through a couple trees to another
got
row.
caught.
When we got to the other side, I didn't see her. "Where are you?" I said. She called back, I'm picking my own apples. She actually sounded like she was a few rows over. I apologized, laughing, telling her I'd stop.
Nah, that's
But
not
she
her,
didn't
bro.
answer.
We don't know.
I spent a few minutes trying to find her. Suddenly, an apple landed right in front of me, which had been tossed from one of the rows nearby.
Sus.
So freaking clucked.
Then another one landed
How
close
was it
by.
knocked you in the
Wow.
I
head?
yelled stop
Knocked
because
you
I was
in the
actually
head?
afraid of getting hit in the head.
Someone else is
I
there.
ran through a couple trees.
Someone's there.
In
in
each
the
row
orchard.
I'd pass,
No.
I'd look left and right trying to find Nikki. I went down this row, I went through the first couple of trees I could fit through to get to the next side.
Nope.
I looked left, and I actually felt like my heart launched up into my throat.
What is it?
Because there was some guy, a young guy like 18 or 19-year-old,
What?
with long black hair to his shoulder,
What?
standing in the center of the row, maybe
What the
5
hell?
trees away
Haircut,
from me.
bro.
Sus.
It looked like he had a slight smirk on his face. He didn't move,
Bro,
so I
knock him
did.
out.
I
Throw an
squeezed
apple
through to
to
the
them.
next row and then the next.
Mm-mm.
Then Nikki called my phone. I picked up in a hurry, whispered, "Where are you?" She sounded like she was in a panic. She said into the phone there was a creepy guy following her around. She tried talking to him, but he wouldn't say anything.
What?
And he looked like he wanted to hurt her.
Bro,
And her
like, that's
description
not
of
even
him
a
matched
gun.
the guy I just saw.
Oh no.
I told her to meet me back at the car. I ran the way back, and Nikki was
just
already
said
waiting
to
in
you.
the car.
Get your ass out of
We
there.
stopped to
Now.
discuss what just happened.
No, get in the
Nikki
car.
yelled,
Don't
"There he
discuss
is,"
it now.
pointed in front of us.
Whoa.
Shit.
Haul
I
ass.
looked, and I could see him. He was half hidden by an apple tree. You could see his left arm, left leg, and half his face.
Bro, just get in the car and drive away.
The way he was just creepily spying on us, I had to get us away.
Bro,
I did a
for real.
three-point turn off the grass onto the dirt road. We passed the decrepit barn-like house and got back on the road.
Good.
We talked over possibilities. Maybe he lived there. We passed by a fruit stand on the side of the road with a few people working on it.
Okay.
Nikki and I lost our apple bags, so we figured we'd at least stop here.
Bro, how
We
could you
picked up some
forget
apples
about
and
the
berries, and I just had to ask them about the apple orchard down the
Let
road.
me guess, he's there.
The two ladies working the fruit stand proclaimed nobody should ever go anywhere near there. The owner's son had killed his girlfriend and then disappeared. The body was found near the orchard in the forest.
What? No.
Dad still owns the orchard to this day, but he hardly ever returns and doesn't keep up with the place. We practically jumped in their faces as we asked them to describe the son, but they had never seen him and don't know anything about him. I admitted to them that we went apple picking on the property, and some creepy young man was following us. The two women said that it was best that we got out of there when we did. They also kind of scolded us for not calling the police. However, one of the ladies said she was going to warn the police. On the drive home, as Nikki spoke to me about it, everything she said really went in one ear and out the other, because I really thought to myself, did we actually run face to face with a missing murderer in an apple orchard?
You actually did.
I
Like,
still
that's
get
actually
chills,
freaking-
wondering if that guy's still out there,
How I
in
did
that
it.
orchard.
It's
Wow.
That should be none of your business. That should be the first and last time you go to
Hey.
Okay with the sound effect.